understand. I could have had class. I could have been a contender.
Hulk. Smash.
Mrs. Robinson, you're trying to seduce me.
Here's Johnny.
Wait, 21 gigawatts!
Hey, motherfucker.
You never go ass to mouth.
Now what is so damn funny?
And here we go.
We will not go quietly into the night. We will not vanish without a fight.
Force will be with you. Always.
But the truth! You can't handle the truth! Showtime, everybody! Showtime!
What's up, fanboys and fangirls? Welcome to episode 18 of the Fanboys Anonymous Movie Club. Yes, we're changing it up a little bit here. It's no longer the For Real Movie Club because we decided that we want to make this a little bit more flexible. But we're still going to do 4 movies this month, so it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Nonetheless, from now on, it is going to be referred to as the Fanboys Anonymous Movie Club, and that means that we're going to be able to do some different episodes where we decide to do maybe 3, maybe we'll do 5, maybe we'll do 10, maybe we'll just do 2. Depends on how long these movies are, and it depends on the subject matter and all that other kind of stuff. But before we get into an explanation of what we're talking about for today, I need to just go around the table here and introduce everybody. You're listening right now to the host of the panel, Tony Mango. Hello, everybody. I am Tony Mango, and I am joined by Chris, the Dace man. Dace.
Hi, everybody. It's fantastic. I get to drink since I'm not hosting.
Let me just take a drink here. All right. I'm gonna drink anyway. Fuck those rules.
I'm drinking alcohol. It's going to be a fun one, guys.
I'm drinking Powerade. So really
I drink water exclusively. Sorry, I jumped the gun.
Drinking water exclusively, we have Eddie Siqueira.
Yeah. It's healthy. See?
And what are you drinking right now, Briana? Gaitan? Gaitan?
Yeah, Gaitan.
Gaitan.
Actually, when he said that he had a drink, I ran to my kitchen and I have a bottle of tequila. So this is going to be like drunk history for me.
She's winning. I don't have tequila. I have beer.
Tequila wins, yes.
You guys all would have been terrible in high school. So that's actually what we're going to be talking about. It's back to school time right now. September, everybody's getting into the swing of that kind of environment. So we figured, let's make a movie club about that. And we decided to pick 4 different high school films that didn't follow exactly the same pattern because there's only a couple ways that you can make a high school movie. You could either do like the comedy kind of thing like an American Pie. You can do something like, the real high school is so difficult and I'm full of emotions type of thing. You can do what we're going to talk about in the first one, which is like, oh, I got to save these kids. But they all basically boil down to high school's hard. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to take a couple different types of ones instead of just doing, 21 Jump Street and then like 4 or 5 or 3 or whatever comedies. Let's get a wide variety here. So the ones that we do have ahead of you are Dangerous Minds, 10 Things I Hate About You, Mean Girls, and The Perks of Being a Wallflower. And we're going to start off with Dangerous Minds, 1995 drama film directed by John N. Smith. It's a Jerry Bruckheimer film. One of those things where it was like a pet project that they came across a book that it was based on, which is My Posse Don't Do Homework by retired U.S. Marine Luann Johnson, who's the main character of the whole thing. And the basic overall story is that Michelle Pfeiffer's character, who is Luann Johnson, the one who wrote the book, is a Marine who gets a divorce and decides she wants to be a teacher, and she gets the worst luck in the world where she gets put in like the terrible district in California. It's Carlmont High School in Belmont. No idea where the hell that is. But essentially, it's just filled with a bunch of delinquent kids, and that's one of these stereotypical films where it's like the teacher's got to change these kids around and, save them from themselves and that kind of stuff. A little insight on the ratings for the film. It ended up getting a 29% on the tomato meter in Rotten Tomatoes, but the audience score significantly higher, 64%. What did you guys think about Dangerous Minds? What was your first impression of it? Let's start off with Dace.
So I'm going to be completely honest with this is why I host most of the time. I watch Stand and Deliver, which is essentially the same thing except with like Latins in Eastern LA rather than Belmont. and he's just trying to teach him academics. So if it's anything like Dangerous Minds, the movie was great. It's phenomenal.
What was that Hilary Swank movie that was the same thing too?
Stand By Me. I don't know. I'm out.
Yeah, wasn't that her, that pudgy kid when she was young?
Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't
the
she?
Truffle Shuffle.
Didn't
This
she
is
used to
why
be Jerry O'Connell? I want to watch Stand By Me again. Old episode. We'll have to do a retro, like do it again, kind of for real or something like that.
The four real greatest hits.
Do these hold up movies? And we could do the One Crazy Summer again. That was great.
Maybe this time I'll get through it.
So yeah, I'm just bullshitting because I didn't watch it.
Well, what was your first thoughts on what was it?
Stand and Deliver.
Stand and Deliver. Yeah.
My favorite part was when Robin Williams asked the kids to get on the desk and just start reciting poems.
I think Cartman was there, and he was trying to help them take a test.
How do I teach these kids? That's basically, I think that line's from Stand and Deliver. So, woo, Lou Diamond Phillips.
Definitely wasn't from Dangerous Minds, because she was just kind of like, yeah, fuck you guys.
I might have liked that movie better. Damn.
Maybe. Eddie, what's your first thoughts on Dangerous Minds?
I'm old.
Don't you feel it?
Yeah, dude, I swear to God, I was 12 when that movie came out, and Gangsta's Paradise was all over the radio. And everybody was always like, na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. And it was like, we spend most of our lives living in the Gangsta's Paradise. And I was like, where are all the rock bands all of a sudden? And it was like Snoop Dogg and all the rap and hip hop. And I'm like, and there was one thing that, besides the music, that came along, and it was that movie. Everywhere, all the time. It's like Dangerous Minds, the big hit movie of the season or whatever. And I was just like, yeah, I don't care. I ended up watching it like 5 years later or something, and I gotta say, I saw it as like this kind of like a commercial attempt to sort of display, the rougher side of the minority culture in America. Because up until then, it was just like, like white America mostly. And all of a sudden, hip hop went onto the mainstream, and one of the main reasons to make this movie was just kind of like, oh, let's see what we can do with this. I don't even know if there was a book.
Let's just see what happens.
Yeah, for real. That's just my perception of it. I didn't even research to know if there was a book written beforehand or not.
I think it was the movie Stand and Deliver that came out before.
Oh, okay.
Sure it wasn't Stand By Me?
It might have been that as well.
All right. No, based on my posse, don't do homework, right?
Yeah, that's the name of the book.
Okay. Sure. Okay. I'm sure it was piggyback riding on the whole hip hop scene exploding. I have nothing against it so far.
Briana, what were your first thoughts?
My first thoughts were I probably should have watched Stand and Deliver because it was that.
I have such influence. This is great.
I'm gonna have to go watch that now because I can watch a Robin Williams movie.
Oh, he's not in it.
Ew, he's not in it.
Nope, not at all.
I thought you said earlier Robin Williams was in it. Oops.
I may have cross-referenced with Dead Poet Society.
Oh.
And Jack.
Dropped a little bit for me. I'll still watch it. No, this movie was boring. It felt like it was overdone.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. Just that Southern accent, because Michelle Pfeiffer had this horrible Southern accent the entire time. It's just like nails on a chalk,
Jesus.
I actually do have a note down, because obviously when we're going through these movies, it's good to like take notes and stuff like that. But I have a note that specifically says her accent comes and goes.
Yeah.
A couple scenes, she's just kind of like, but you're gonna die. And then some other scenes, she's just kind of like, hey guys, I'm Michelle Pfeiffer. This is a very like rushed film. You could tell that it really wasn't like this thing that they were like a priority, like a Forrest Gump where they're like, let's put a whole lot into this or whatever. And, that's why it got the reaction that it did from the critics and stuff like that. It's not widely considered a great film, but weird about it, it ended up spinning off into a TV show.
I saw that.
Yeah, they took a book, made a movie out of it, and then they made a year-long TV show with Annie Potts playing the Michelle Pfeiffer character. So, like, they really got their money's worth out of this movie. At the very least,
there was a demographic, man.
Yeah. At the very least, Coolio owes this movie because one of the biggest parts about this whole thing is just the song Gangsta's Paradise.
Totally. Dude, it was like every day there was no way to avoid it. It was like, no matter what you were doing, you could stay at home. Somehow that song would appear
Now,
at least 3 times a day.
I love that song.
Me too. I mean, fuck it, right? Me too, but like...
It's so catchy.
It was all over the place.
And actually, the first CD I ever bought was Bad Hair Day from Weird Al because of Amish Paradise.
It's fucking
One of his greatest songs.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I've got like remixes of Gangsta's Paradise and stuff like that. Like I'm the worst person in the world. If you look at the people in this film, I'm the opposite of what somebody should be singing Gangsta's Paradise.
Wait,
but that's a song that...
I don't even remember this song.
You know, it was like in 5 times in the movie.
I heard in the movie, but before this, I never
really
heard it before.
Oh, it was huge back then. I mean, that was like, you go back to like the mid 90s range, that probably ended up being like the top of the charts for that year.
Yeah, this is what, 95? I don't think
95.
mom allowed me to listen to music back then. That's probably why I missed it. I had some big finger quotes or air bunnies going on. Wasn't allowed.
Tony and I were pretty badass first and second graders listening to this.
Apparently.
The stupidest part is my favorite line in the whole thing from when I was a kid, and even like to this day, is like one of the tamest lines. It's "What's going on in the kitchen?" I think it's so weird listening to that song now when he says, "I'm 23 now, but will I live to see 24?" And I'm like, I'm 28. Fuck. Like, I feel so old, like you were saying, watching this now. It's so dated, ridiculously. And it's not just the fact that, like, half of the students are dressed like Coolio, or that, like, it's all in the same aspect ratio that we're not used to anymore because everything's widescreen now, or whatever like that, but random scenes, they would just pop up with Gangsta's Paradise and just hit you over the head with it. They're heavy on that. I counted at least 4 times in the movie that it pops up. Opening credits, end credits, and then, like, 2 random parts, but, another side thing about the music is the people that did the score, Wendy and Lisa, and you might not recognize their names. I don't really recognize them for a whole lot of things, but I do recognize them from one thing: Heroes.
Like the show?
Yeah.
What?
Love that show.
Exactly.
Come again? Say it again?
When I'm watching the opening credits on this and it says music by Wendy and Lisa, I was just like, is that the people from... No, that can't be the Heroes people. And I had to double check on IMDb, and I'm just like, holy fuck.
The is like playing in my head right now, and I'm looking for eclipses outside the window.
Well, I mean, you got to realize that back then, like, the budget for music production was so low that, like, you think, okay, they just go for cliche stuff.
Maybe
And
that's
then
why
now
they
with-
repeated that same song 5 times.
Yeah.
They didn't have the
Yeah,
budget.
no, really, that's exactly it. And because actually pulling off a good soundtrack is actually quite expensive. Dazed and Confused, that movie with I think Matthew McConaughey is in it or something. Half the budget went to the soundtrack.
Damn.
Yeah.
It is expensive to license.
And just speaking of music, Gangsta's Paradise topped the radio charts only for 1 week in
That's
1995. Yeah.
Bullshit.
It was there all the time, but it didn't top for more than a week.
Oh, is that like one of
Overthrown
those
by Amish.
number 2 forever kind of things?
Yeah, sort of. It was like number 5, number 8, number 10, number 3, stuff like that. Madonna's "Take a Bow" was the top charting song of 1995.
And she's still going. Damn it.
And where's Coolio?
Dude, he's
was
getting
in the
high in
Halloween
like
movie.
South Beach or something.
Yeah, he acts now.
Really?
I have a friend who actually ran into him in LA
Oh,
one
here
time.
goes.
Just
We'll
take
have
a
to
picture
do-
and that's it.
We'll have to do a TV club thing and just do Keenan and Kel.
On Nick.
So let's go through some of the casting here. What did you guys think of Michelle Pfeiffer playing the lead character?
She was awful.
It didn't bother me. I mean, I didn't really care, I suppose. It wasn't a movie that was too credible to begin with. I mean, it's kind of like they tried, I guess, to make this sort of dramatic kind of atmosphere going on, but it didn't feel that way.
See, I didn't buy into her being somebody that was in the military because she acts like a pushover for most of the film.
Maybe she was like doing like paperwork.
She's like, I was a U.S. Marine. You don't know how many red marks I saw all over the place when it came to my pen.
She doesn't even act like a Marine throughout the movie. Not really.
No. You would think that she'd be like really tough on the kids, or like, I don't know, have like a stronger backbone.
She wore dresses. Never seen a Marine in a dress, or even enjoy dresses.
But then
Yeah, you think she'd be like borderline, like kind of like lesbo, like sporting a beard kind of thing, you know? That's just my vision of like super tough military women.
I don't know. I kind of got a little bit of a vibe that maybe she was going that route. Like, she divorced from her husband, who was abusive. They dropped that bomb, like, in the middle of nowhere. And doesn't, like, flirt with anybody, really.
Well, in the poster, she kind of looks like Caitlyn Jenner. So I could see where she comes off a little bit mannish.
She does look like Caitlyn Jenner. Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So
I'm looking at it.
It was her first time walking in heels. So it's really this movie predicted Caitlyn Jenner's sex change 20 years ago. And now Caitlyn Jenner is going to go teach some kids in Harlem.
Who the hell's Caitlyn Jenner?
On a bunch of conspiracy websites now.
You don't remember when Caitlyn Jenner was at the Olympics? And
Yeah. And then decided,
that explains it. That's why I don't know. Hang on.
I want boobs to play with all the time. So she got boobs.
You mean
Bruce?
Yeah.
Who is this Bruce you speak of? I know it's Caitlyn.
Isn't this like one of the Kardashian dad or something? Or something
Oh, he's
like
a Kardashian now.
No, I swear to God, he looks like that Kardashian dude I saw him that one time I saw the show.
Yeah, that's him.
He's the stepdad. Whatever.
Looks the same.
What did you guys think of the fat friend teacher?
Well, Chris Farley was great. I really I love his work. And they just did that documentary on him, and he was fantastic. I mean, he was a great school bus driver. And he got a little frantic at the end and wanted to tip the bus off a cliff. But, he was a great actor.
Billy Madison's such a better movie. It really is.
I think
At least
there's a
it's
lot of
the
movies
theme.
that could be better movies than this.
Come on. Chill. Okay, when you guys are going to give the score, I want to see if you guys are really going to bash it that much.
I am sorry.
Try to give it something
Seriously, if
high.
you're going to go for a teacher movie, what's that movie with Cameron Diaz? And where
Bad
she-
Teacher?
Oh, God.
Yes, I like that movie a lot better.
I know that the TV show was a bad show.
Oh, I never watched the TV show.
That's terrible. That and the spinoff that they did was like Bad Lawyer or something. Bad Judge. I think it's Bad Judge. I don't know. I didn't like either of them. The notes that I had down for Hal Griffith is the character's name, played by George Dzundza.
George Costanza's playing Hal Jordan. I love this movie.
The notes that I have written down for him is fat guy friend equals kind of jerk. Hitting her in the head with the ball for a pep talk is funny. Smoking, calling people idiots. Do I really like this guy? Yes, I do.
Oh.
So apparently throughout this film, I was just kind of like, this guy's an ass, but he's funny. But a lot of these characters, they all kind of blended into me. Like, especially like, there's only a couple students that they give some kind of a focal point to. Like Rico Suave.
Oh, okay.
And Callie, who looks like Coolio.
Wait, they really named the character Rico Suave?
No. His name's Emilio.
Like
Emilio
Estevez?
Ramirez. But he's totally Rico Suave.
Emilio? Like
That's
Emilio.
the one that died?
Yeah, apparently the actor
I know.
died,
There was
like,
a guy in my
soon after
class
this,
called
too.
Emilio.
Was
He was
he
totally
actually-
like blonde. He totally blonde from Detroit. I don't know what the hell's up with that.
It's weird.
Yeah.
But he was Rico Suave, and there's Raul, the one who does the whole I want the chicken. $200 coat guy. Like you have to kind of like say the couple of parts that they are specifically in to be like, oh, that guy.
Yeah.
Because they all sort of blended in together. Like I can't even remember the other person's name. The mom takes him away from school.
Let's go with Tito. I see Tito on IMDb. Oh, no, that's... Oh, shit. I'm still on Stand and Deliver. My bad. I thought I actually switched over to the other movie.
I think his name starts with a G, this character, and I can't fucking find it anywhere, so it's probably not.
Guacamole?
It might be Guacamole.
We're going to call him Guac. Hey, Guac! What up, dog? Did you get your math homework done? No.
There's a Cornelius in here? I don't remember a Cornelius.
I really feel like I have to watch
Fight Club. You're not supposed to talk about it.
We have to do Fight Club on a movie club and not talk about it.
We can't talk about it.
Just go, all right, part 2 of the movie club, it's going to be Fight Club. Can't talk about it, so part 3 is going to...
Is it Gizmaro? Gizmaro. Gus?
Yeah, maybe.
Because there's a Gus Morrow Rivera, and I feel like they made that up.
Gus Morrow.
Yeah. Man, it's like they asked a white guy to come up with really Spanish names for this, and they failed.
It really is.
Yeah.
Darrell Brent Benton.
Darrell, that's the character I'm thinking of. Totally doesn't have a G in his name. Oh, wait, it does, because he's Richard Grant. I'll give myself credit for that.
Check this out. Deshonda Carter as Tanya Kia. Hang on. Tanyekia. Yeah.
Is that a country somewhere?
Inventor of Kia?
No, you're thinking of Tanzania. and Kenya. Yeah, so you're right. They probably got like names in a hat and cut them in half and then like just picked them out.
It does seem like it's written by somebody who's not of any kind of like Hispanic background.
Yeah, it's just probably like
there's a Russian guy here, Ivan Sergey as Juero. Like it's funny. He's not like Latino at all.
Ronald Bass.
I'm gonna look at a picture of the guy who wrote it. 9. Yeah, he's probably white. Let's see. Oh, he
Those
has no
white
picture.
boys.
Who did the screenplay for that?
Ronald Bass.
Ronald Bass.
He's known for Entrapment, Rain Man, and My Best Friend's Wedding. So his good work didn't
what the
come until
fuck?
after.
Rain Man and My Best Friend's Wedding? What the hell is wrong with the world nowadays?
He's clearly qualified for a Latino film.
Because when I think somebody needs to write about the struggles of the Hispanic community in California, I go, yeah, you know that Dustin Hoffman movie?
Yeah, didn't that win an Oscar? We should totally get that guy.
You wrote
Hey,
Sleeping
check
with
it
the
out.
Enemy?
Dude. Desire Galvez as Taiwana. Like, he totally got names of countries. I swear.
He
Like,
did. That's what it sounds like.
It's going to be like Ramon something other as Germania. Englandia.
His original ideas were Speedy Gonzalez. Shit got shot down. They're like, dude, okay, now you just crossed the line. You're pulling from Looney Tunes.
Okay.
I also have another note about a character that I forgot to bring up that I don't know the name of the character, so it could be any kind of country for all we know. But I have him listed as Random Dancing Candy Guy.
What?
Do you guys know that part of the film where she's handing out the candy bars to whoever gets the credit, like the question correctly? And then he, at the end, they're like, we want you to stay. And he just kind of stands up and he's just kind of like, we got candy bars. And he's just like, oh, yeah. Like, fucking all super happy about it. It's just like, this guy's awesome. And
that must be Lalo. Ismael Archuleta as Lalo. Lalo.
Lalo. You got me with
Lalo.
candy. Lalo. Doo-doo-doo. I sing a lot when I don't host.
Oh, here's what's funny. Here's what's really funny, though. There's an actress's name. Her name is actually like a region. It's Asia Minor as Pam.
Oh, wow.
That's funny. That is really funny.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you guys can tell that we didn't really like this movie.
No, hang on. Hey, you didn't ask us to rate it yet.
Yeah.
Not yet. I was going to get to that in about 2 more segments. But when it comes to a movie like this, if you were going to, separate the fact that you watched it and what your rating is, if somebody approached you and they said, there's a movie about somebody who is going to try to teach a bunch of troubled kids, is that something that stands out to you, or is that already like against the grain and not something that I'm really interested in? Briana, what do you think? Is that something that you would be like, oh, I might check out that film?
No, not these days. No. Because I think it's overdone. I mean, like, I just watched an inspirational teacher movie the other day, and it was horrible. And this one was horrible, too. So, it's just, they're completely overdone.
What about
but
you,
I
Eddie?
guess this one might have come first, since it's, 10 years? 10 years ago?
20.
20?
I think
We're
Stand
old.
came up first. I think that's like 89 or something.
Well, here's the thing. Yeah, it's back then it was a market that wasn't really explored, right? And like I said, I think the matter is hip hop was really starting to like seep into the white boy world. You know, like you have kids that like totally have nothing to do with that kind of background, just listening to the Gangsta's Paradise because it was such a catchy tune. And they already had some hood movies that were really respectable, actually. I would consider Jungle Fever one of those. Boys in the Hood.
Yeah.
And there must be another one. I slipping my mind, but this is still one of those, you know. And back then, like if it wasn't like an A-list Hollywood movie, production was kind of lousy, no matter what. And the production just wasn't that good. But I'll tell you what, it really, as I was watching this movie, it just makes me mad at the whole, you know, social circumstance. And then you see the, you know, when she, Michelle Pfeiffer's, whatever her name is, Lou Ann Johnson, goes to the kid's house, and then her mom's like, oh, you want to teach him all about the education, them boys got to get a job and all that, you know, like, I get it, yeah, okay, it's kind of cheesy to watch it, but it really got me going, you know. I don't know if I was just feeling like more susceptible to just whatever I'm watching, you know. I was just kind of like sleepy but awake at the same time, so it really got to me. This is why I think the movie has its merits. When it came out, it really was one of the first of its kind.
Dace, what would you give Stand and Deliver out of a 10? And what are your favorite and least favorite parts?
Back to the point that you guys were talking about a little bit. I would honestly watch this movie if, and only if, you based it about 50 years before Phantom Menace, and Yoda's trying to teach a bunch of younglings. He goes, how do I teach these children?
Oh, see, he wouldn't say that. He'd be like, teach these children, how do I?
Yes, with like a Latino accent.
Teach these children, how would I?
He's got a churro in one hand, and he should be trying to keep these kids away from Darth Plagueis the Wise, because he's still alive in that time frame, because, you know, Palpatine hasn't killed him yet. So I would buy into the whole thing with that. Based on what I've put together in this past 20 minutes we've been talking about this, I would give it a 10. A movie with Robin Williams and Chris Farley talking to these kids in Eastern LA is phenomenal. And it really hits home.
Candy guy.
And random dancing candy guy.
So to me, this is clearly a 10, but if I had watched the movie or based it off IMDb, it'd be a 6.4.
Are we giving scores already? Shit, I didn't give mine.
High point is, I didn't watch it, and low point is the poster for it, because that does not sell.
You mean angry, pissed off Michelle Pfeiffer doesn't make you want to go, oh man, I really got to see this movie?
Actually, looking at that poster, it makes me want to watch the Olympics, because I get the Caitlyn Jenner feel. So, I'm going to say.
Briana, what are your favorite and least favorite parts, and your score from 1 to 10?
Okay, no favorite parts. Least favorite parts is the entire thing because of that accent. And I'm going to give it a 2.5.
Ouch.
It would have been a 2, but I'm going to be nice and give it a 0.5.
Eddie, what about you?
I will give it a 7, and this is purely because of when it came out. The high point, I'd say, is just, I think it delivers the story. And the low point is just, despite delivering the story, I think the production and screenplay was kind of lousy.
I actually just came across
let me just say something. I have nothing against any of the actors, even Michelle Pfeiffer. Because sometimes, you know what, it's bad directing, like they just want to get through with it, and they don't correct the actors and stuff like that, you know. So you got to think about that a lot. Is
it safe to say that you're not all about that bass?
Yeah, you could say that. You could say I wouldn't drop the bass, right?
Nice.
So looking on Wikipedia right now, I just, over, you know, like scanning it and stuff like that, noticed a little part that says Andy Garcia filmed scenes as Michelle Pfeiffer's love interest, before, but they cut that from the movie.
Oh, that would have made it a little bit better.
Yeah. And that would have dispelled the rumors that she went into, like, the lesbian mode, like we were saying before. Not there's anything wrong with that. Of course, you gotta say that out there now. I gotta say, favorite scene. I don't think I have a favorite scene, but if it counts, Gangsta's Paradise. I just like that fucking song. So there you go. That's the best part of the movie. Least favorite scene, the ending. It's so bland, and when she stays, it just kind of like ends. There's no resolution. Like, you don't get to know whether or not these kids actually graduated. Rico Suave gets killed, and they're just kind of like, oh, this sucks. but it's, time heals all wounds. Just not a big fan.
You keep saying Rico Suave, and I keep thinking the Weird Al song, Taco Grande. I don't know why.
And see, every time I think of Rico Suave, I think of Horatio Sands.
Every time you mention Phantom Menace, I just think what's that Weird Al song? American Fry. I mean, wait.
The Saga Begins.
My, this American. No, my, this your Anakin guy. He later made Vader, but now he's just a small fry. Something like that.
That's a good song, too.
Every time I think Phantom Menace, I think of the Weird Al video.
Yes. We'll do a movie club of
UHF.
Weird Al. Yeah, UHF.
There we go.
That. And Spy Hard.
I have something to add on to my little comments. Okay, so a couple of weeks ago, I watched this movie, and it was kind of the same premises, but it was called Sex Ed, and it had that boy from The Sixth Sense, that little boy, Haley Joel Osment, or whatever. So he was teaching all these inner school kids, about sex ed and how they shouldn't procreate. And this probably would have been better with these kids. I mean, if they're stupid and annoying and, obviously dumb, then maybe they should learn about sex ed instead of all this other stuff that as they say throughout the movie, isn't going to help them.
At least Callie should, since she got knocked up.
Yes. So that's what I kept thinking of whenever I watched the movie, that maybe they should have a different class instead of, literature or whatever. Teach them about the birds and the bees.
And to not kill people.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that too. But, as long as they're not spreading their horrible gene pool into this horrible world, which they say like 10 times, this is an awful world, this is a horrible world.
Briana would totally be the administration in this movie that are just kind of like, fuck these kids.
The whole kids. And, I don't mean that in a bad way because, you can't help what town you grow up in, but whatever. That's all I had to add to it.
I'm going to have to give this a little bit higher than what you gave it, but a little bit lower than Eddie. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. And
it's a lot lower than I did. Don't say a little. That's a lot lower.
It's 3 points.
Shut up.
6.4.
I couldn't even really break it up to a 5. It's just, it's just not a really good film. I can't recommend it. It's not on the list of if we do a movie club best of hits kind of thing. We're not going to be talking about Dangerous Minds. It's not the worst film that we've seen out of this.
Historical value. I mean, there's a little, but I get it. I get your score.
Yeah. If I go the rest of my life and I never watch it again, because I did watch this before when I was a kid, and I didn't remember all that much about it. Especially didn't remember Random Dancing Candy Guy. But I'd be okay with this being the second and last time I watch this movie. But hey, I mean, like I said, Rotten Tomatoes, it's got a 29, and the audience gave it a 64. So, regular public likes the movie more than the critics do. And we're a little bit harsh on it, but we're part of that 29%.
Yay.
That's part 1 of episode 18 that we're on right now. And we've got 3 more movies coming your way. So next part, we're going to talk about 10 Things I Hate About You. If you're on iTunes and Stitcher, you don't have to do anything, because we will just be right back in a second. But if you're on YouTube, then you got to do a little bit more work. You got to click on that next video, and we will see you in part 2. 10 Things I Hate About You, coming up right now.